Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. Indeed, happy Eid al-Kabir. Well, our guest this morning is Honorable Ogene Emma Ego. Honorable Ego was in the House of Representatives, and in fact, he spent the past almost eight years in the House of Representatives. Well, nowadays he is representing Nigeria on the ECOWAS Parliament, and he's our guest this morning. A fine morning to you, Honorable Ego. Okay, I was just saying good morning, and indeed, happy Eid al-Kabir to you, Honorable Ego.
Yes, same to you. I'm happy to be with you, yes.
Indeed. And
as you know, yesterday I just came from Sierra Leone, where we went for ECOWAS election monitoring, monitoring exercise.
Yes.
Yeah, we're waiting for the result, but I think that it was a good election.
Indeed. In fact, I was just mentioning that, I don't know if you heard me, that nowadays, that's where you are spending some of your, work time, as the
Thank you.
on ECOWAS. Now, well, you have represented the good people of Amour Dauphin for 8 years, two straight terms, and so I just wanted to say, and well, again, your party is the PDP, and unless you've changed in recent times, it's possible. Are there any changes on the horizon?
Well, let's not talk about that now. For the moment, I'm in PDP, but anything can happen.
So one step at a time. Let's take it one step at a time, right? But in this connection, that was a slight joke. But in this connection, as you know, it's a new day in Nigeria, meaning that we have another chance to begin sort of fresh beginnings. So I wonder what you think when you look at the tasks ahead of the 10th Senate. The 10th Senate is a different kind of a Senate in that the sheer number of freshmen, shall we say, freshmen parliamentarians, it's like it hasn't been like that in a long time. So what do you consider to be the tasks ahead of the 10th Senate of the National Assembly?
Well, I think that this Senate and Rep, they are very unique, especially the Rep. We have 360 members in the Rep, but I can tell you that about 170 members are brand new members. And so people have to do new learning. There's no institutional institutional knowledge by the members. The members have to learn the ropes, to look at from good members. Unfortunately, good are very few, less than 1/3 of the new members coming. So, yes, when you look at the new members coming through, a lot of them are very, also knowledgeable. So I hope that we learn very quickly and everything will start. But for now, we can do the best.
No, okay. Well, the sound is a bit choppy. One just hopes that it'll get better. As you know, we've come out of well, it was quite dynamic. Let me use that word. A dynamic selection of our principal officers of the National Assembly. In fact, that process is still ongoing because I think they're going into the matter of committee chair and other important offices. But in this administration, this new administration, that of President Bola Tinubu, quite a number of things have happened. The proverbial expression about hitting the ground running, you'll agree that Tinubu sort of exemplified that. In fact, so much so that some people are a bit breathless. Now, in this connection, those things that have been done, you look at unifying the forex regime. You look at the very, very first one he did. In fact, he did it simultaneously with his being inaugurated when he took off the subsidy regime. Just to mention those two. As you know, that's going to have a big impact on the people. There's also the matter of students' loans. So all of these are sort of concepts that haven't been in our vocabulary or our mental space for quite a while. Do you think that, he's going to need, the president, the administration is going to need the understanding of the people, even though we keep on hearing that, look, it is a task that must be done. We don't have a choice. Still, people feel these issues. Talk to me about that, if you will, and what you think can be done in the National Assembly to sort of ease the process. Already I've started to hear that there are the whole students' loan thing actually needs working out. Even the removal of subsidy needs working out. In what way do you think the National Assembly can be a partner in progress, so to speak?
Well, let me tell you straight away that I don't envy Mr. President Bola Tinubu. There were so many problems left for him to carry. The economy is comatose. The country is not making progress. There's unemployment everywhere. The economy is disjointed. For instance, when you sell dollar to some people at about 450 naira to $1, they bring in goods and services. Others, you sell dollar to them at, they buy their dollar at 750 naira. They also bring in goods and services. So you find that some people are profiteering. The central bank will give the dollar at 450. They take the money away. They do round tripping, bring it back, give it to Malam. They sell it at 750. In fact, the economy has been as bad as it is before. And I'm shocked that the CBI governor, who was the former managing director of a bank, would go to that extent. So it's not surprising that Tinubu came as a no, enough is enough. We have to have one unified currency. If you're an importer, you buy dollar at the same amount. If you're offering services, you buy it at the same amount. That way, the economy will stabilize. We appreciate prices will go up for a short while, but everything will stabilize. And then there will be growth. And then foreign investors can come in. Because foreign investors now knowing that this is the amount that the dollar is trading in Nigeria to the currency they are bringing in. You know that if they come in, they can invest and they can get their return well. But if foreign investors come in with their money and they are getting dollar at 750, and some people are getting at 450, those getting at 450, are just doing round tripping. He will be making a loss at 750. As a result, he will go back. This is what is creating unemployment. So the dollar stabilization will help employment. Then when you talk about the issues of petrol subsidy, look, I don't know. Tinubu is a very bold. I don't know whether to call the former president's cowards. Before Buhari came in, he said he was going to remove the fuel subsidy. He never did. Jonathan promised the same thing. He never did. Yaradua the same thing. Even Obasanjo said never. So for Tinubu to have done it, it's made a big sacrifice for the nation. It's like somebody who has said, this is what I will do. It's not no manager politician who will deceive you. The man is an honest man. He's a good man. We need to encourage him. Some many things we know. Some of you are talking about now is the removal of the tariff for electricity.
Yes.
Now, the question I ask people is, which one is cheaper? Is it the tariff they've removed, or of course, since they have removed the tariff, because the complaint in the House, we had in some of the committees, we had opportunity to call on those who are generating electricity, both the GENCOs and the DISCOs. We called them. Each time they complain that they cannot provide light because the tariff is so low. And then we used to ask them, if the tariff is adjusted, will you be able to provide light more often? Yes. So when you look at it, some of the suffering Nigeria will suffer will be temporary. The tariff removal, which they have announced, of course, will stabilize electricity. And I'm sure if having electricity, let's say even 20 hours of the day, nobody will be bothered about that marginal increase. So the thing is, the current National Assembly, they need to sit down and cooperate with the president. Because without doing that, the country will not move forward. Poverty will be everywhere. All these things that President is doing, these were things that former president were, but they did correct them. And so the current president is inheriting a nation that is not only badly mismanaged, but a nation that is dysfunctional, a nation that, cannot get that growth, a nation that cannot create employment. So let's give him a chance. Like I say, if you do the same thing over and over again, you find that you cannot get a different result. Some people say, oh, they would have put palliative in place first. That was what Buhari said. Jonathan, the same thing. Even Obasanjo, the same thing. But after you put palliative in place, then you see National Labour Congress, you see lobbies, they'll come and lobby, leave it there. And then at the end of the day, we're about to square one. This president is quite honest. He's with anybody. He has said he wants the economy to grow, he wants employment, unemployment to reduce, and he wants GDP, to be upwards. And exactly that's what he's doing. So I think that I'm one of those. I mean, we are Nigerians. We see what we are suffering when we go to petrol station. But let us give him a chance. This is the first time a president is doing this differently in the last 30 years, I would say. This is the first time.
Indeed.
So let's give him a chance to do what he's doing, and let us see what the result will be. But I can assure you that in another 2 years, when we take stock of the economy, we take stock of our growth, we take stock of employment, we take stock of even the happiness index of Nigerians, you will know that he has done very well.
Indeed. Okay.
So
now,
that is my opinion. Yes.
Yes, that's for that. Now, let me return for a moment, if you will, to the National Assembly itself. That is the body made up of senators and representatives. And as you know, any president needs the cooperation, the understanding, the sort of working together of the executive and the legislature. Now, we said earlier that so many experienced hands did not come back. Up to half, if not a bit more than half of them are actually more than half of them are actually rookies, so to speak. Now, I don't know how intense the level of seriousness was, and you're a good person to ask because you have just completed 2 straight terms, and so you're very well versed. I'm talking here about what the actual legislative work that an honorable member or a distinguished senator has to do, the offices, the research facilities, the staff, so that because when we see it in other worlds, in other places, the members of the assembly, members of their parliament are ever so, I mean, you sort of can trust them that they're on the ball. If you're coming, you better have done your work thoroughly because these guys, they're just being the watchdog and they know what to do. Now, I don't know what the culture is from your point of view. Are we like that? Can we be as sharp as that? Do we see it as a very, very serious affair that, it involves quite a bit of study and office work and research?
Yes.
Is that an attitude that you say is prevalent in the National Assembly?
It is. It is. The other thing is that a lot of people only try to see the bad part of the National Assembly. Oh, the National Assembly is earning so much money. They multiply the amount they are earning. They don't seem to understand how important the work of the National Assembly is. I think the National Assembly have given good account of itself. And this 10th National Assembly is very good because they are stabilized. The Senate President and the Speaker of the House are the people that the majority party, where Mr. President is, are the people who are the principal officers. Both the Speaker was picked by the APC. The Senate President was also picked by the APC. And I think that is good. Like in the US, it's the party that picks speaker as the president. All over the democracy, it's the party. A situation where members come into the house and say, oh, I'm independent. You came with a party, and then you struggle to undo what the party wants. It's not good because the party has programs and policies that they want to put forward for the country. And if the Senate president and the Speaker of the House are not from the party, it then shows that there's a problem because the House will be projecting some policies which are different from what the president is projecting. At the end of the day, growth will elude the country. But for the first time in many years, we've gotten it right. So we now have a president of Senate, a House Speaker, who are the people that the president of the country wants. And so he can work with them harmoniously. Now, coming to the issues of new members that are very many, I'm sure that the new members will be willing to calm down themselves and learn from the old members. They need to listen, they need to be more attentive. And for some of them, I will ask them, if you are picking your SLE, senior legislative assistants, pick old SLEs who have been working with old members. That way, your legislative work, drafting of your bills and motions will be much easier. And then they can also learn from those staff. But if you just come here, a brand new member, you go and carry people from your constituency who have not been in the House, you will have a problem. But most of them are not used to the culture of the House. But looking at it, the ruling party has a majority in the House. Well, not a majority. A slim, the opposition has a slim majority. But I think they can still work together. Because at the end of the day, everybody wants to see inflation down. Everybody wants to see more employment for our youth. Everybody wants to see the economy grow. Because if you are representing your area and you come into the House and you are not supporting policies that will make the economy better, of course, it's of no use. It shows you are not representing your people. So I think that the new members are going to learn. They will calm down. They will learn. They've not appointed the committee chairman yet, but once those ones come, we're only hoping that the committee chairman should be more, the few old members that came in to head the most important committee chairmanship position so that they can guide the new members who will come. And I'm sure that the new members are going to learn fast because most of them seem to be very well qualified too. So I think that this 10th assembly is not going to disappoint the nation. That is my feeling.
Okay. And now, and also given your knowledge of the House and how it works, its temperament, it was a bit, shall we say, hot, tension-ridden when those principal officers were about to be elected. That was when we're going on about the nomination and all of that. That has to settle down, and people have to, those who might not have got their way, they have to sort of, get over it and come back and work. Maybe get over it is not exactly the way to put it, but you know what I mean. That's past. It's been done. The decision has been taken. Do you think people...
But what I will tell you about that...
Sure.
So what I tell you about that, I'm not surprised, and people should not be surprised that the election into the principal office position was very competitive because it's a big position. If you are the Speaker of the House or the Senate President, you are like a mini president of the country. You can call on any minister, you can, bring out any new policy directive, and you can push them through. In fact, the Speaker of the House and the Senate President are very, very powerful people politically. Apart from the President of the country, nobody is higher than them. Even the governors don't have as much power as them because of the ability to make laws that will affect the whole country, that can even affect the governors. Laws that even if the governor don't want them, the Speaker or the President can push them through. So they are powerful positions. And there are different geopolitical areas. And that's why you see the competition was very tough. But now that the election is completed, everybody has to settle down to rally around the two major leaders, And if I were still in the House, I probably would have asked for a constitutional review because a constitutional review to guarantee that the party that has the majority, party that has the president or the governor, should always be the one to nominate the speaker and the house and the house of and the Senate president. When we had 8th Assembly, we had, Honorable Dogora, who was nominated as speaker, but it was from a minority party, and we know the consequences because the majority party were not happy, so there was confusion. The president and the house were not working together pari passu. But now that the parties that have power that nominated the candidates and the candidates were accepted, have won the election, I think that is good for the country and it will help lawmaking and will help development of the country.
Indeed. And
what we need to do is for the new members to rally around them and then let us learn and move forward.
Indeed. And I'm sort of imagining with the president's chief of staff being as highly experienced as he is in National Assembly matters, I think it's going to make for a sort of a very harmonious relationships in terms of, how to go, that you just have like a consultant, as it were, even though that's not his primary function. His function is a lot larger as the chief of staff to the president than perhaps a liaison person. But still, that experience is invaluable when it comes to relating with the National Assembly, I imagine.
I agree with you. Don't forget that this president executive are the most friendly group that should be to the National Assembly. President Tinubu was once a senator. His deputy was a senator. In fact, it's an immediate, he was with us in the National Assembly. So when you have two people like that, and then when you have Bajabi Amila, who is like an ancestor in the House, National Assembly, he's been there for over 20 years. And most of the position has always been a leadership position, from leader of the House, minority leader, now then became speaker. You can be sure that there will be a smooth relationship. And Bajabi Amila, we worked with him. I was with him for 8 years in the National Assembly. He's a great man. He's a great lawmaker. And he's a man who loves the country. And he's a crisis manager. And in managing crisis, he's a man who does not want to oppress. He will always call position and let them see why his view is much more superior. And he listens to your views. And if your view is superior to his, he would amend his view. That's why you see that in the House, the relationship was very, very smooth, was very cordial. So it's a big asset, not only Mr. President, but to the nation. Who did a good thing by picking Bajabi Amila. I can assure you that we're going to have a very good relationship because while Bajabi Amila was here as our speaker, our relationship with the Senate was very good. Anytime we have a bill and we have a conference to harmonize the bill between the Senate and the House, of course, the experience of Bajabi Amila was always here to be here. And we always make sure that we reach a decision that is the best interest. So, Bajabi Amila will be those of us who are in the House and who are no more in the House, who know him, we're all happy that he's holding that position and he will be able to guide Mr. President. And Bajabi Amila's experience spans the whole country. He's been dealing with members from all over the country for over 20 years. So he knows what every part of the country needs. He knows what the grievances of the country is. He has historical experience of how some people have been marginalized and what we need to do to make sure that they are happy to have a united country. So all I can do is to congratulate President Bola Tinubu for picking His Excellency Femi Bajabi Amila to be his chief of staff.
Okay.
He's going to help the country. Yes.
1 second. Let me bring on our first caller. Mr. George has called in from Lagos. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Happy Salah.
Indeed.
And greetings.
Indeed.
Greetings to the guests.
Happy Eid al-Kabir.
Yes. Uncle Yori, I am still waiting to see what this 10th National Assembly is going to do. To show me, to convince skeptics like me that they can be what we expect them to be. this issue of rubber stamp is not my problem. My problem is the National Assembly, in cooperating with the president, needs to do two things. They need to help the president to reduce waste and not to promote waste. The president has very many laudable programs that needs money to execute. And these monies that are supposed to be coming from revenue-generating agencies are leaking. And the National Assembly members are aware of it. Will they be able to control it this time around? They are aware and they promote it. You know, this is about the third time I'm saying this on air. If you like, set up or send journalists to conduct investigative journalism between the National Assembly and the MDA, and you will know what I'm talking about. Even our guest there, being a member, I'm sure he knows what I'm talking about. So, where we need their assistance in these present-day circumstances is to curb waste and also let the government become focused. You are not just to be supporting everything. We expect them to support the government, but in supporting the government, they should help the government to ensure integrity. The president cannot be in every MDA. All his appointees, he cannot be within 24 hours. It's the National Assembly that can help him to check and make sure that the policy and targets that have been put in place are achieved. This is what I am waiting.
Okay.
I'm waiting.
All right.